Even if you haven't caught his show, you definitely know his catchphrase, "Here's your sign."
Bill Engvall, he is on his farewell tour and just had his final local show at the Grand Opera House this past weekend, a stop that was a bit of a homecoming for the locally born comedian.
You know him from his stand-up as a member of the Blue Collar Comedy Tour and from his very own TV show. But did you know Bill Engvall is a local kid, born in Galveston?
Like being born on the island, there's just something about that, and I was lucky enough to fall into that category. I still remember stuff. I remember when we lived in Lamarck, and we had a shell street. The street was just made out of crushed shells, and we would find the little round ones, and if you threw them just right, they'd go brrr. And we always were trying to get them to make that noise, but what happened was we ended up sending all our friends to the emergency room for stitches or whatever. So the parents weren't real thrilled.
Years after his early days in Lamarck, he made it big when a catchphrase helped launch a career that has spanned 4 decades. His commitment to comedy is mirrored in his family life, having been married to his wife Gail for just as long. So after 40 years together, we had to ask, does your wife still think you're funny?
I don't know if she ever thought I was funny. I think she thinks I'm funny, but I'm just not her type of funny. But I will say this, even though I may not be her style of comedy, she believed in me more than I did. And that was a big deal.
They have 2 kids together, and just a few years ago, they welcomed their first granddaughter, a life-changing event that played a big role in his recent decision to retire from the road.
That was a real heavy factor in the retirement decision. My grandparents were a huge part of my life, and I want to be a huge part of my kids, my grandkids' life. Not the helicopter, but I want to be the granddad, and Gail wants to be the grandma that is the fun one. We're going to see, Gaga and Papa, and it's just the best because you get all the perks and none of the responsibility.
So when our team caught up with him before his farewell show at the Grand Opera House in Galveston, it was a bittersweet homecoming that had him reflecting on his Texas roots.
There's a real sense of pride for me to be a Texan and have achieved what I've achieved. I think that, and some people may say that's silly, but there is a real sense of pride in me that I'm Texan, and that I will carry Texas with me as long as I'm on this planet.
He'll wrap up his final tour in December, but he won't stop working. But if he had to, he'd be content.
I caught the brass ring. I got it. I've had my own TV show, wrote books. I've got 10 albums, 2 platinum, 1 gold. Other than Bill Engvall on ice, and nobody wants to see that.
He says his next phase will be TV and movie projects. And he just got his college degree at the age of 63.
I always try to try to teach my kids, and I try to live by this, is don't leave something unfinished. And when I went to Southwestern University in Georgetown, I was not ready for college. I didn't do well, and I dropped out. But it was interesting, of all the when COVID hit and I couldn't work, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back and get my degree. And I ended up getting a Bachelor of Arts in Christian Studies, and it was a really proud moment when I got to walk across stage, because I didn't know that I'd ever have that moment.
As for long-term retirement plans, we just may see him back in Texas.
We have a ranch that we've had in the family for about 25 years, and in this little town, there's a feed store, and attached to the feed store is a little bar, but there's no bartender. It's just a tin cup, and the beers are in the cooler, and you go and get you a beer and put your money in the tin cup, and the guys are playing dominoes. And I was telling Gail one time, I said, I want to be that person that's sitting on that porch and somebody goes, "Weren't you Bill Engvall?" And I go, "Yeah, I was." Now I'm just playing dominoes, drinking a Lone Star.
I'd like to see Bill Engvall on ice, just for one, just saying that. If you would like to connect and see what is next for Bill, you can head to our website, HoustonLife.tv, and look for the Scene on Houston Life section.